I'm going to ask Andrew Larkin to come up here. We're going to have a little bit of testimonies this week. Bill, can you grab two of those chairs? And Andrew, if you would grab that mic on your way up. Each week we're going to have a little bit of somebody who either was in this category, thanks man, or could have been in this category had intervention not happened. But Andrew's going to kind of speak to us about cultural Christianity and his own journey a little bit. I'm going to pull up my email. But as I do that, hi Andrew.
All right.
He is the other Eagles fan in the room. I know you guys are all, so you can pity us together. We are worthy of your pity for sure. But yeah. So here's some questions I had for you. What was the role church played in your life growing up?
Yeah, so growing up, I was in a church pretty much my whole life. My parents were very involved in a Presbyterian church that my grandparents were at, so very much like a family thing. They were very involved, so growing up it was kind of expected of us to, be at church all the time, do all the things that were asked of us. Since we were in a church of a median age of about 60. We were, us and the other kids my age, we were very often asked to do a lot of things like perform in Christmas pageants and help out around certain activities and stuff. Getting a little bit older, like we did youth groups and stuff, and like I have lifelong friends that I made at that church. But, as you start getting older, you start rebelling a little bit, like, do I have to go to church again? At one point, my dad, for various reasons, decided to go to a different church. So we were going to two churches on Sunday, one at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then back to the Presbyterian church at 9:30 to, 11:30. So it ended up being a lot. And then once you hit high school, you're very much... I can barely get up to go to school on Monday through Friday. Why do I have to get up at 5 o'clock or at 7 o'clock in the morning so we can get to church by 8?
And then what happened is you went to college, because obviously you had some more autonomy there.
Right. So college, I had 2 years at home and then 2 years at State College. So when I was there, it was like I was doing work on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoons, so it was pretty much like rush to get home from church so I could eat something really quick for lunch so I could then go and work. And then by the time I moved up to State College, church was the last thing on my mind. Sure. It was very much making sure I didn't fail school. Right. And I had a really tough junior year and stuff, so like church was the last thing on my mind. I could have cared less about church.
Right. And then, so you moved first you moved home, and then tell me about your journey after college, and where church played in that.
Yeah, so after college, I moved back home. I was one of the not as successful students in my class. Usually aerospace engineering, everyone gets placements.
Yeah. Just an aerospace engineer, just a real slacker.
I was one of the few who didn't have a placement right after graduating. So I moved home. I worked a lot of Sunday mornings just because that was the kind of job I could get. And church was like, yeah, every once in a while I'll go to church, but I was working, so I couldn't. And then I moved down here, and it was, trying to transition from living at home to living on my own. I was in a hotel room for a couple months, and then in an apartment, and trying to figure out, how do I live on my own? What does that look like? Right. And church was not even like, it was in my mind, but at the same time, it was like, I don't have time to figure out church. That's the last thing I need to worry about.
That's right. So how did you end up coming to church?
So we got to go back a few steps. My junior year of college, I met someone named Tyler. And Tyler invited me and the whole aerospace class to an evening of, hey, why don't we talk about God?
Only Tyler would do something like that. I love that, yeah.
Yeah. If you know Tyler Bello, you know that this is something he would do. And so I went to that, met a couple other Christians, but again, church wasn't a priority. When I moved down here, one day I was just sitting typing at my desk, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. And there's Tyler. And Tyler was like, hey, we should hang out and stuff, and then eventually invited me to Horizon. And I was like, okay, well, I've kind of been looking for a church. Why not go to Horizon? I think my first invite to Horizon was actually a Wednesday night link group in a house I had never been to. I hadn't eaten dinner yet, and I was sitting in a room with about 40 other kids. I'm like, wow, if this is church, then I've missed a lot in the last like 5 years.
If you know my old townhouse, 40 people did not fit nicely in that townhouse. That was a
No, I think there were about 6 of us sitting on like a love seat.
Yeah.
It was that kind of Bible study.
My neighbor called the cops on our Bible studies more than once. So yeah. So what kept you coming?
So what kept me coming back was, at that point, I was, again, starting to look for churches, and I found myself during my work day or while I was just, out and about, thinking about the people that I had met at that link group, or like the one time I had actually come to church. And I was actually on my way, I think, going to link group one Wednesday evening, and like it was just very prevalent. Like God was speaking to me, like, this is the place you need to be. And I was like, okay, God, I get it. This is where I'm going to make my home. And from that point on, it's been, I think that was probably the May or June after I moved down here. And I was like, okay, I got it. I'm here.
And what impact has that decision made on your life and now on the life of your family?
Can I say, just talking Eagles stuff with my pastor, is that,
Yeah.
no, in all honesty, it's had the biggest impact ever. I mean, I consider Horizon our family. Like, we really don't have family down here in Maryland. People that we see occasionally, but not like, our parents are, both mine and my wife's families are both in Pennsylvania. So yeah, like, this is our family. Like, sometimes you'll see me greeting downstairs. I love helping out and doing anything for the people in this church. My wife is one of the co-leaders in Kid Horizon. This is where we want to raise our kids. Like, this is what's kept us coming back, is the church, the people here. And I've grown a lot in my own relationship with God from being here at Horizon.
That's awesome. Let's give him a huge hand. Thank you for sharing that. Love you, dude. Thanks, man. First of all, how relatable is that? How many people do you think maybe fall into a category of like they just moved, they didn't have the friends, life just kind of casually drifted? When we say this, though, I mean, Andrew talked about the impact it's had on him. The impact it's had on me, his involvement in the church has been huge. One, having someone to watch Eagles games with is huge. But the second, but also just like, I mean, like when we met, we were both single guys. We've gone through like both of us have moved houses in the time that we've known each other. We've gotten married in the time we've known each other. Our kids are like of similar ages and are like good friends. Like, I always say, like, I can't imagine Horizon with you. Like, it's not long that you come to Horizon. That pretty soon after that, I don't remember what Horizon felt like before you were there, because like the impact that you make in coming is such a big difference. Andrew's made a huge impact on my life. He's made a huge impact on this church, and it came from a simple invite to a coworker. I mean, and Tyler's naturally gifted at that, obviously, but like just think about the impact, the eternal impact behind that, the impact in our whole community because of that. Guys, there's so many people who are just hungry for maybe being asked to be a part of something a little bit bigger than themselves, and maybe someone going alongside them with it long enough for them to feel like they really connect to it. The other part of that story is that Tyler was going to that link group. They went together. They hung out before and after. They had a really strong relationship that brought him into the whole.